Hi everyone. In this lesson we want to investigate the powers of I to see an interesting pattern. Notice that anything to the first power is just itself, so I to the first power is I, and I squared we know that's equal to -1. Well, if I keep taking higher powers, I cubed, I could think of that as I squared times I, right? That'd give me I to the third power, and then since I squared is a -1, this would be equal to a -I. And I to the fourth, that'd be I squared times I squared, which would be a -1 times a -1, which is 1. Well, that makes simplifying higher powers really easy, because every time I get 4 i's multiplied together, that's going to equal 1. So, for example, I to the fifth, I could think of that as I to the fourth times I. Well, that's just 1 times I, or I, same thing as I to the first power. And I to the sixth, that's going to be I to the fourth power times I squared. Well, that's just 1 times I squared, and of course I squared is -1, so that's the same as I squared. I to the seventh would be I to the fourth times I to the third. Well, that's just 1 times I to the third, and we see over here I to the third was equal to -I. And I to the eighth would just be I to the fourth times I to the fourth, which is of course 1. Okay, so notice that if you take I to any power, you're always going to get one of these values, either I or -1 or -I or +1. So if I had like I to the 29th power, I could just simply write this as I to the fourth power and then ask myself, well, how many groups of 4 do I have in 29? Well, there's 7 of them, right? If I took I to the 4 7 times, that'd be I to the 28th power, and I'd have an I left over. So this is just the same thing as 1 to the 7th power times I, and of course 1 to any power is 1. So that's equal to I. Same thing if I had I to the 30th. Just write that as I to the fourth and say, well, how many times does 4 go into 30? Well, it also goes 7, but there's 2 left over, right? So this is I to the 28th times I squared. That makes I to the 30th. So this is 1 to the 7th power times I squared, which is 1 times -1, which is going to be a -1. Okay.